Morning, welcome to the Reach Daily Devotional. My name is Philip and I'm from Reach Derby. It's great to be with you all this morning. And as we start this morning, let's spend some time in worship together, which you can find by pausing this video and clicking on the link below. As I was reflecting about what to share about today, I felt particularly drawn to John 15, from verse 1 to verse 8. And these are some of the final words Jesus says to his disciples just before he goes off to be crucified. I'll start from verse 1. I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit he prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful. You are already clean because of the word I have spoken to you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If anyone does not remain in me, he is like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire and burned. If you remain in me, and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be given to you. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. I love that passage. And particularly, I love the promise that comes right at the center of it in verse 5, where it says, I am the vine, you are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit. It's a promise by God that all we have to do if we want to live fruitful lives is remain in him. It's not a conditional, there's no ifs or buts about this. It's a promise. We will be fruitful so long as we remain and stay close to him. Now, of course, there's a lot more going on in the passage than that. Part of the passage is talking about pruning the plant. Now, vines, if you just allow them to grow in any way they want, they'll grow all over the place. And they'll waste lots of energy they could be using for growing good grapes on useless growth. And actually, instead of producing a few high-quality grapes, what they'll tend to produce is lots of really naff, low-quality grapes that you just wouldn't want to eat or give to a friend. And so, if you want to keep the plant as high quality as possible, if you want to make it as fruitful as possible, you have to cut these branches off that are growing unhealthily. And that's a painful process. It's a painful process to come before Jesus and to have him prune our lives, to have him change things in us so that we can be more fruitful. And perhaps for some of us, as we've been in lockdown, we have experienced some of that pruning, either as a result of the time we've spent with Jesus, or as a result of the circumstances around us that have forced us to perhaps change things in our lives. Now, one of the incredible things about this passage is there's a brilliant bit of wordplay. Because the word for prune and the word for clean, used in verse 3, are actually in Greek the same word. Just one is used as a verb and the other as an adjective. And it's very clever because Jesus is saying, essentially, the implication is, as you are pruned, as you go through this pruning process, you will become clean. You will become the vessel that I am able to work through, that is able to bring fruit in your life and into the lives of those around you. Now, I'm going to be honest, I actually hated this passage a bit during my teenage years. And the reason I hated it is I got really frustrated at it. Because there's this promise in this passage that if we remain in God, if we remain in Jesus, we'll have fruitful lives. But I just didn't see that in my own life at the time. And I remember I was doing everything I could imagine to try and tell people about Jesus, to share Jesus into the lives of my friends. I was trying to spend as much time as I could with Jesus. And despite all this, none of my friends were coming to know Jesus. The friends I had that knew Jesus, quite a few of them seemed to be walking away from Jesus. I just got really angry. Why would God give this promise if I couldn't see it in my own life? And then I went to uni, and I was in first year of uni, and I met up with a friend in London. And I remember asking him, I said, why did you keep following Jesus when so many of your friends turned away? What was the difference? And he looked at me, and I'll never forget this moment. He said, you really don't know, do you? I was like, no, tell me. And he looked at me again and he just said, because when I was younger a few years ago, I was at this camp Transform, and I saw you living for Jesus, and I knew if you could do it, so could I. And I remember hearing those words, and it was like everything changed for me, because in a moment, I knew it had all been worth it. Everything that I had done, even if it was just for that one life, for that one friend, had been worth it. And even if I hadn't seen the fruit at the time, and only known about it years later, it has still been there. And often in our lives, the fruit we sow, we never see. And we probably will never see until we get to heaven. But this passage today reminds us, if we remain in him, the fruit will come. If we're willing to be pruned, he will use us. It's as simple as that. And as I finish today, I wanted to pray over us some words from Hillsong by their song Seasons. Because I felt that God was saying that for some of us, particularly during this period of lockdown, we've been connecting with him, but we've not been seeing the fruit, and we've been getting frustrated. Things have been tough and they've been hard. And I just wanted to pray these words over us, a reminder that as long as we stay connected to him, our season will come. So I'm going to say these words. Just let them reflect and dwell over you. Like the frost on a rose, winter comes for us all. Oh, how nature acquaints us with the nature of patience. Like a seed in the snow, I've been buried to grow, for your promise is loyal, from seed to sequoia. I know, though the winter is long, even richer, the harvest it brings. Though my waiting prolongs even greater, your promise for me like a seed. I believe my season will come. Bless you.